News and developments in AI don't take a day off, and neither do we. Thank you for joining us. This is Everyday AI, and this is news that matters for you for the week of January 22nd, 2024. That's a mouthful. January 22nd, 2024. Thanks for tuning in to Everyday AI. This is your daily live stream, podcast, and free daily newsletter helping everyday people like you and me learn and leverage generative AI. And there's so much going on. So this is a new segment that we do every single Monday, bringing you the news that matters. So every single day in our newsletter, we talk about everything that's going on. But on Mondays, we kind of digest it all, and we take a second. And there's always, big breaking news from the weekend that we go over as well. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about Mark Zuckerberg's focus on artificial general intelligence, AGI. We're going to be talking about Copilot Pro, the new Samsung AI-focused phones. We're going to be talking about everything. So if you haven't already, make sure to go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. Yeah, maybe you can't listen every single day to the show. That's okay, but you can always read the newsletter. So make sure to go sign up there. And I like to say this. It is like a free generative AI university there. We now have nearly 190 back episodes of amazing guests covering just about everything. So maybe you want to learn about how generative AI is impacting sales. You can do that. If you want to learn about productivity or education or enterprise, we have different categories on our site with amazing guests that we've had throughout the almost course of the 8 or 9 months now that we've been doing the Everyday AI show, as well as you can read every single back newsletter on the website as well. So make sure to go to youreverydayai.com and sign up for the free daily newsletter. All right, let's talk about AI news that matters for this week. And yes, live streamers, thank you for joining us. Love it. Dr. Harvey Castro joining us from Texas. We have Woozy joining us from Kansas City, as always. Brian, thanks for joining us. Chrissy and Nancy and Bara. And yes, Bara asking, will this be recorded? Always. Yes, this is always comes out on the podcast. And like I just said, you can check it out on the newsletter as well. And Liz and Frank, thanks for joining us. So if you do have questions, or maybe you got some hot takes for the news that's happening this week, let me know. Love interacting with our live audience. But if you are listening on the podcast, make sure to check the show notes. As always, we're going to link back to the LinkedIn thread so you can go and connect with the growing group of AI enthusiasts that we have here at Everyday AI, as well as some other related shows. All right, let's get this AI news recap party started. So here's the news that actually matters for you this week. All right, so Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's Chief Everything Officer, is going all in on AGI, artificial general intelligence. Ready? Here's the facts, and then I'm going to give you my take. So Zuckerberg has revealed Meta's goals to build artificial general intelligence, AGI, and achieve superhuman intelligence capabilities. So Meta is formerly known as Facebook. It's ramping up its AI research group called FAIR to develop generative AI products across all of its apps. Also, Meta is stockpiling an impressive number of NVIDIA GPUs. Zuckerberg is already flexing the computing power needed to train large language models. He went on an Instagram Live and announced that their GPU stockpile by the end of the year will reach about 600,000 NVIDIA GPUs. Yes, I talked about it on the show last week. I said, watch NVIDIA's stock. It obviously took a huge jump, in the hours and days following this news. But this announcement has raised some concerns about who will control this AGI and the potential risks and consequences of creating such a powerful AI. Because here's what we have to keep in mind, like Nancy's asking here, open source AGI. Yeah, Meta is obviously known for a very different approach than OpenAI, which is also kind of openly working toward AGI. OpenAI is, strangely enough, very closed source, whereas Meta is very open source, right? So it is going to be interesting now that you have two of the biggest companies in not just in artificial intelligence, but these are two of the largest technically companies in the world, right? When you throw in the fact that OpenAI obviously has, immense backing from Microsoft, which reportedly has about a 49% ownership stake. So these are the essentially the biggest tech titans in the world openly racing toward AGI. All right, so we're not going to do a deep dive on AGI, but I think it's important to talk about what it is, because if you are an everyday person and maybe your extent of AI knowledge is, using tools like ChatGPT, or, using something like Midjourney, or maybe your company has a certain AI product that you use. So if you don't know much about AGI, it's essentially this. It's when artificial intelligence systems are technically smarter than the people building them, and they can start to make decisions not generally related to an artificial intelligence, right? So that's when AGI kind of makes the jump, when it starts to almost have these beyond human capabilities. And for years now, it's kind of been this almost this taboo subject, right? That until Sam Altman and OpenAI, last year openly stated, or I guess it's been more than a year, but OpenAI has always said that they're going after artificial general intelligence. They believe it's the next big step forward for not just the technology, but for our society. So I think a lot of people, have always looked at that a little sideways, so to speak. But now it's, I think, with Meta and Mark Zuckerberg making this move, now it's going to dominate the conversations. And it's not going to be so much, oh, okay, this AGI push is more of a side project from, some tech elites, like a Sam Altman, like an OpenAI. But no, this is now, Meta is a huge company, right? Meta technically has way more influence than OpenAI does right now, because Meta obviously has their suite of products across that, reach people all over the globe, right? Where OpenAI, for the most part, just has their Chat GPT product and their GPT technology that, hundreds of other companies are using via the API. But Meta has a much more influential hand across the globe right now, right? They essentially own social media, right? With, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I know WhatsApp isn't social media, but, a social messaging platform. But Meta owns social media, more or less, right? I don't really count, I'll say it, the demise of X, Twitter, I think has really gone downhill over the last couple of years in terms of the quality out there. But this is going to be extremely interesting to watch now that you have this, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta going all in on AGI and saying, hey, we want to take artificial intelligence to beyond human capabilities, matching what, Sam Altman and OpenAI have talked about. It's going to be an extremely interesting 2024 to, we've been talking about the AI arms race, but now we're talking about the AGI race, right? Who is going to be the first company to create something superhuman, right? I think now, for better or worse, when we see new versions of large language models or generative AI systems, I think it's almost gotten to the point now, at least if you're an AI enthusiast, where you're almost not numb to it, but you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. GPT-5, oh, that's great. New version of Runway, that's nice. Midjourney, cool, right? So I think now it's. I'm not going to say that these tech titans are getting bored, right? But they are obviously focusing on something much more monumental, and that will have societal impacts. Because I think right now, artificial intelligence has great business impacts. But I think AGI will have great societal impacts, because, what happens then when we achieve artificial general intelligence? And there's AGI systems that don't even need human input, and they can fix themselves and improve themselves and build better versions of their next models. I think that's an important question to ponder, is what happens when that happens. And it's long been rumored, oh, maybe it's 10 years, and then people were saying, oh, maybe it's 5 to 7, and now some people are saying it's 3 to 5 years away. No one knows, but I think it's a lot closer than people realize. Yeah, Nancy saying even the experts have openly admitted they don't know how AGI works. Yeah, exactly. No one does know how AGI works, because it is when artificial intelligence is technically smarter than us, and it can self-improve, and it can self-heal, and it can develop on its own. So yeah, no one does. Well, who knows? Maybe it's up and working somewhere in a secret lab in Silicon Valley. But yeah, for the most part, we don't know what it's going to look like. All right. Let's talk about our next big piece of AI news. This one's a big one, y'all, actually. So Microsoft releases Copilot Pro. All right, so new announcement from Microsoft, and this kind of fills in the gap between the free version of Microsoft Copilot, which was formerly Bing Chat, and the enterprise version of Copilot, which is Microsoft 365 Copilot. All right, so the naming was confusing at first, but I think now that there's kind of three tiers, it kind of makes sense, right? So anyone can use out there, right? So maybe the thing keeping you from using GPT-4, which is the newest and most powerful version of ChatGPT, has been the cost, right? But you've been able now for almost, a year to use what was formerly called Bing Chat, which is now just called Copilot. So that is, you can go to, Bing's website, you can use the Edge browser, and you can use the GPT-4 technology and, use it for free by using Copilot. So it's just called Copilot now. So that is the baseline free version for everyone. And now you have this new recently announced product from Microsoft called Copilot Pro. This is not free. So not only does it require a $20 month subscription, but it also requires a subscription to Microsoft 365. So let me go over the pros and the cons here. I actually think this is going to be huge, especially for people like me, right? I'm a lifelong Mac user. Ever since Copilot came out, I've kind of been drooling because I know that Apple is always, so far behind. So this is like full disclosure. It's like, this is something that I'm probably going to put my team on in the next couple of weeks, right? The big thing is yeah, it does require a couple extra subscriptions because, for every team member, you're going to have that now, roughly $10 a month for Microsoft 365 subscription. So to use their suite of apps, Microsoft Word and Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, etc. But once you do that, once you have those apps, right? And if you're a Mac user, yes, you can use this. So you can have all those apps, all those files, and then use now Copilot Pro to talk to your files, right? To interact with your files throughout these different apps, which I think is fantastic. So if you're a Mac user or if you're using Copilot Pro, it's not fully all in. It's not the level of Microsoft 365 Copilot, where now with that, you have the Teams integration, which I think is huge, which you don't have in the Copilot Pro. I think that's one of the main differentiators between, Copilot Pro and Microsoft 360 Copilot. And Microsoft 360 Copilot is more geared toward enterprise, right? Previously, it had a 300 seat minimum, which I believe that Microsoft did get rid of, about a month or so ago. But now you have with Microsoft these three very distinct product offerings. And I'm excited now because now it fully makes sense after the announcement of Copilot Pro, now less than a week ago. You have these three distinct tiers. So anyone out there, you can go use Copilot, which is great. It obviously uses the OpenAI GPT-4 technology. So you have that large language model that works in your browser, which is actually fantastic. There's things that I love about Copilot that Copilot can do that it's a little more difficult to do in ChatGPT. And if you listen to the show, I love ChatGPT. I use it, depends on the week, anywhere from 12 to 25 hours a week. So I'm a heavy ChatGPT power user, but there's actually some things in Copilot that are better or easier to do versus using ChatGPT, even the ChatGPT Plus version, right? So also another thing with the Copilot Pro version, again, $20 a month, and it does require that $10 a month Microsoft 365 subscription. But another thing is you get what they're calling 1,000 boosts per day to use DALL-E. So being able to produce DALL-E images much faster than you can, if you're using, you can use it within Bing, you can use Microsoft Designer. So this new boost capability is coming to Microsoft Designer. So you can get much faster version, 1,000 different boosts per day if you are on this Copilot Pro subscription. So, normally it's not like it takes a long time. It might take anywhere from 5 to 25 seconds to create something using DALL-E. So now you can do it much faster. So, yeah, I'm curious. Like Brian here is saying that he jumped on Copilot Pro this weekend and started using Microsoft 365. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing for me, right? And if I'm being honest, I've been helplessly addicted to Google Docs for longer than I can remember, right? And Google Sheets specifically. That's going to be, if I'm being honest, that's going to be the hardest thing for me personally. Is I have so many integrations, third-party integrations with Google Sheets, extensions with Google Sheets. I use Google Sheets a lot, and I'm pretty decent at it. So that's going to be the biggest jump for me, is kind of bringing all my files over to Microsoft 365. If that is the route we go, I'm thinking it is. I'm still going to, check it out a little bit more, but it seems to make the most sense. Google has been so far behind Microsoft in terms of giving everyone access, to its products, even for our workspace, right? So for Everyday AI, and also the digital strategy company that I own, Accelerant Agency, we still don't even have full access to Google Bard or Google Duet, because Google has been so slow to fully roll out their AI products to smaller companies. So hey, I think, hey, I've been very, very hard on Google, if you've been listening. So not only do I think that their large language model Gemini is so far behind where even GPT-4 is right now, but they've just been slow rolling out all their AI features. And Microsoft here, as we saw from the Microsoft Copilot Pro announcement last week, they're pushing the envelope. So I do think that a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurs, startups that maybe have traditionally flocked toward the Google, the Google suite of products, Google Workspace, I think they're going to start to lose some of that market share, if I'm being honest. All right. Great question from Harvey here, saying, are you going to have both ChatGPT and Copilot Pro? Absolutely. Right? So another thing that's worth mentioning, but kind of related, Dr. Harvey Castro, so thanks for the question, is there will be something, it's not released yet, but you will have the Copilot GPT Builder when you do have the Copilot Pro. So that does give you access to that as well. So yeah, I think a lot of people have been asking is, do I still need, or will I still need Chat GPT Plus, that $20 subscription, if I am using Copilot Pro? And I'll say yes, probably, especially if you're a heavy user. So, I don't know too much yet about the Copilot GPT Builder, but, hey, you need Chat GPT Plus to access the GPT store. You need it to build your own GPTs. And I do think that there's some better functionalities right now within Chat GPT Plus, that $20 a month subscription, that you probably can't really get right now with Copilot Pro. So personally, I'll probably still be using both. Yes, a lot of people out there are probably wondering, is that a lot of subscriptions? It is. But I like to tell people, think of the time that you save, because using generative AI, Gen AI, is all about winning your time back. So yeah, you can start to count up your subscriptions and say, oh, $20 a month for Copilot Pro, $10 a month for, Microsoft 365 products on, and then $20 a month for Chat GPT, and maybe $20 a month for Perplexity Pro, right? Yeah, that can add up. You might be paying hundreds of dollars all of a sudden to use these different generative AI products. But I'll tell you this, if you use it right, you are going to win back easily 30, 40, 50% of your time very easily, right? You have to also invest on how to properly use each of those, tools. You have to use the right tool at the right time for the right purpose, and not just use shiny tools for the sake of using tools. But yeah, I do think even with this new announcement for Copilot Pro, I think there's still a strong case to keep both and to still keep ChatGPT Plus. All right, next announcement. Runway has released their new Multibrush tool. And hey, shout out right here. We'll drop it in the newsletter, but a former guest on the show, I'm actually sharing something that they shared on social media, kind of showing the power of this new Runway multi-tool brush. So Rory Flynn, former guest on the show, shared this. And, if you're listening on the podcast, let me kind of explain to you what's in Rory's post here, showcasing or, telling us all, hey, here's how this multi-brush tool works. So if you don't know anything about Runway, let me give you the 101. So Runway is actually a multifaceted AI, generative AI tool. You can do so many different things in video by using Runway. So I like to tell people this. Think of it as a version of like Photoshop for video. So if Photoshop was video based and it was an app based on the web, I would say that's kind of what Runway is. They have great video capabilities. So not just AI powered video editing, but they have, text to video, right? Photo to video. And I think that is honestly what I think is the best use case for Runway. It is the image to video capabilities. So in their new Gen 2 product offering. But I think actually the multi-brush tool is what is going to push this technology, this photo to video technology. I think it's what's going to push it mainstream, right? If you listen to our bold predictions for 2024 in generative AI a couple of weeks ago, we said that AI video is going to go mainstream, and it is. And I think this is one of those tools that really helps. So again, describing on the screen here. So Rory took photos from Midjourney, which is what I think a lot of the smart creators out there, visual artists that are creating great things with different generative AI tools. That's exactly what they're doing, right? I even did a free 3-hour course where I showed people how to use multiple generative AI tools. We went over Chat GPT. We went over Bing Chat. At the time, that's what it's called. We went over Midjourney. We went over Runway. We went over 11 Labs. We went over everything in a 3-hour course, and including the motion brush, and we showed you everything, right? So if you want access to that course, you can always just DM me, shoot me a DM, just say 3-hour course, or if you're in the comments, just say 3-hour course. If you're on the podcast, I leave my email and my LinkedIn in there, just say 3-hour course, I'll send it to you. But so what Rory is showing here in this is he's taking a Midjourney image, and there's 2 different birds, right? And you'll see there's 2 different colors of brushes. So there's a very easy to use feature, and this feature has been out for a long while, the motion brush, but now you can have multiple motion brushes. I didn't even see if there's a max, but it looked like you can honestly just keep stacking them. I'm sure there's a certain max to how many different things, but what this allows you to do is that you can pull out different things in the images, right? So in this case, Rory has 2 different birds, and he can cause each of these birds, or he can tell each of these birds to move in a different way by using this motion brush tool. Whereas before, you could only have really one motion. So maybe there's, multiple birds in a photo, or maybe there's multiple subjects, multiple people, or there's a foreground and a background, or there's clouds and there's waves, right? So before, you could really only move one thing at a time. So I don't actually think when you had that, there was great use cases for this technology in terms of actual, seeing this commercially, more or less. But now I think you're going to see this a lot commercially, because it costs now $20 a month, $20 a month for Midjourney, $20 a month for, advanced features in Runway, etc. Right? But now for dollars a month, you can create something that is so high quality that so many people out there are not going to be able to tell anymore that it is AI generated, right? Which is both very cool and very frightening when you think of the long-term implications and how this is going to be used for, misinformation, disinformation. Obviously, we would hope that tools like this are only going to be used for very cool purposes, like Rory's showing here, like how to, animate 2 birds and how to get them to move in different directions by using Runway, but that's not the case. All right, so let's keep going. And LinkedIn user, is that course available as a recording? Yes, it is a go at your own pace course. All right, our next piece of AI news, big one, I'd say. So Samsung announced last week what they're calling the AI phone. So they officially, kind of released their Galaxy S24 lineup with so many different AI features. All right, so let's go over top to bottom. So this is the biggest and the first mainstream phone that is being tabbed or being called an AI phone. So what this means is you are going to have in this new Samsung Galaxy S24, you're going to have Edge AI, right? On-device AI. We had a whole episode about that about a week or 2 ago. I'll make sure to throw it in the comments here after the show. So this is the first popular use case of edge AI, of on-device AI. So let me tell you real quickly what that means and why it's important and why this release from Samsung is actually pretty big news. So they're using Qualcomm Snapdragon chips, which keep an eye on that company. We'll have to see if they're going to make an NVIDIA type rise, the same thing that NVIDIA has done for these GPUs that power all of generative AI. Now you are bringing generative AI capabilities to devices. This Qualcomm Snapdragon chip is one of the first big names that's allowing you to do this. But essentially what's happening is you're taking generative AI capabilities from the cloud. That's how we all use them right now. All these different tools that we're talking about, Chat GPT, Copilot Pro, Midjourney, Runway, like they all run generative AI in the cloud, and they all use NVIDIA GPUs for the most part, right? Almost all these big companies use NVIDIA GPUs, even though a lot of companies are starting to build their own, kind of AI-powered, GPUs. So this new one inside Samsung, let's actually look at the features here real quick, because I think we have, if you're joining us live, 2 features just to illustrate what does it mean when you have generative AI living on your phone, when you have it, this edge AI, on-device AI. Well, it's faster. It is technically more secure because you're not sharing any information with a cloud, right? It is all happening. All of this AI features, all of these, this AI processing is happening locally on your phone. So it is faster. It is going to be able to collect more first-person data, right? That's the other thing is the ultimate, I won't say hope, but one of the big selling points is having a personal AI, right? That's ultimately what edge AI or on-device AI is. It's all about. It is having eventually when you have it on your computers, when you have it on your cell phone, it is something that knows everything. So yes, there's a lot of privacy concerns, but it knows what you may be texting someone based on what email you just opened. It might know what you want to search for on the web based on your past web search history or based on a phone call you just had, right? So this is an AI that lives on your phone, and depending on what you give it access to, but in theory it can have access to everything on your phone. So some big new features in this new Samsung Galaxy S24. Circle the search is one that's got a lot of love at the Samsung event last week. So essentially on any photo that you have, you can circle something and it is going to instantly search, which I think is pretty cool. So in this example, someone has a photo of someone traveling and there's a backpack, right? So you can circle the backpack and automatically, without switching apps, the kind of Google shopping mode, it just pops up right there. You don't have to, take a screenshot, open the screenshot, annotate it, then take that screenshot, upload that screenshot to another. Nope. It's all done right there, live in real time. This is the benefits of, edge AI and on-device AI computing is you can just circle it and it instantly shows you, oh, here's that backpack, right? That's one example. Another example that we have here on the right-hand side of the screen is, an AI call assistant. So a lot of privacy concerns there because I'm wondering if the party on the other line is notified that the call is technically being transcribed, right? There's an AI assistant on the other line, so that piece is going to be interesting, but the ability to live translate on a call, which is really cool. And you can go listen to the demo. We'll have it linked in the newsletter today. So you can go listen to the demo of, kind of, there's not a lot of latency either. So being able to break down barriers between language barriers, also just being able to record and give you notes, give you follow-ups on phone calls, right? That's something I would personally love. I am extremely forgetful, right? Especially when it comes to things outside of work. I would actually love for my phone to any phone conversation I've had or text message for it just to tell me what to do. Hey, Jordan, this week you told this person you do this, and it looks like in your text messages you texted someone that said this was on its way. It's like, all right, great. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of privacy concerns for this, but big news from Samsung with this S24, the Samsung Galaxy S24 release, the first major product with edge computing, and also it's going to put the full court press on Apple. That's the other thing, right? Apple's been, as they always do, and I talk about on the show, they're never the first to the party, but they're always the coolest kid there. So this is going to put pressure on Apple. Will they finally be able to release, an AI-powered phone in 2024? A lot of analysts are saying the next iPhone will have these features, but Apple is working, right? Reports are saying that they're spending more than $1 million each day on developing different aspects of general intelligence within their company, whether that's, creating whatever their large language model may be called, Apple Ajax or, Apple GPT, whatever you want to call it, or whether they're spending all of that time and resources on, the next iPhone with Edge AI or the next MacBook with Edge AI. But regardless, Samsung first to the party here, big announcement from them, and it's something to keep an eye on. It's news that matters to all of us. What Alina says here, on-device AI is a game changer. It means you can compute on-device, Gen AI on device. Yeah, I had a whole episode on this, and I think there's other huge benefits as well, because one of the downsides of generative AI right now that people don't really talk about is it's the compute needed. Number one, there's not enough of these, NVIDIA GPU chips. They're really so far ahead of everyone else. There's not enough chips right now. Also, cloud generative AI is extremely resource heavy, and that technically takes a toll on the environment as well. So I do think that that's kind of a fringe benefit or an unseen benefit that people aren't really thinking about when it comes to Edge AI or on-device AI, is you are technically reducing some of the load, some of this cloud compute load, which in the long run is technically, good for the environment, because we have to care about that, right? All right. Our last piece of story, our last story news that matters is 11 Labs has officially achieved unicorn status after a $80 million fundraising round. So now they are officially valued at more than $1 billion. So if you haven't used 11 Labs yet, let me tell you what it is and why it matters. I'm going to give some actual examples here too. So when you think of different sources or different channels of generative AI, you have your text to text or your text to multimodal, right? So that is your Chat GPT, that is your, Copilot Pro, that is your Google Bard, your Anthropic Claude, right? So for the most part, those are text to text, or they are obviously becoming more sophisticated now with Chat GPT leading the way with multimodal input, multimodal output. But that's essentially, those are text AI tools. And then you have your, your photo tools. That's your DALL-E, your Midjourney, your Leonardo, your Stability, right? You have all of these different large companies focusing on text to image or image to image, but generally just image. Then you have your video tools, which we talked about, text to video, photo to video. There you have your Runway, I think, is a leader. Your Pico Labs is something to keep an eye on. And there's a lot of other players there as well. So then you have a whole nother category of generative AI software. You have your text to speech or speech to speech. But text to speech, I'd say 11 Labs is one of the biggest, if not maybe the biggest, in terms of third-party generative AI companies. So yes, with this latest fundraising round that they just recently announced, they have officially received that unicorn status at being valued now at more than $1 billion. 11 Labs is a great product, right? So you have, I'd say, your 11 Labs, Well Said Labs. There's a lot of, big players in this space, but I'd say Well Said Labs is probably one of the best. But you are going to be hearing more about, tools like 11 Labs and others as we talk more and more about misinformation and disinformation, because we're going to have a dedicated episode on this at some point here soon, but especially, with, as an example, the EU AI Act, which just actually leaked, a couple hours ago. The final version of that will include that in the newsletter. But the EU is really coming down harder than the United States on privacy across all aspects of generative AI, and I think the US is very far behind, right, in terms of, I guess, AI governance. And it's tools like this. While there's so many great positive use cases that I think really push the business world and the creativity and even your own, we always say everyday AI is to grow your company and to grow your career. So there's so many great applications for that with tools like text-to-speech tools, such as 11 Labs. But there's also downsides, right? Because that's when as these photos, images, and voices, this text-to-speech becomes more realistic, it becomes harder and harder to know what is real and what is not. All right. So that is our roundup. That is our roundup for today. The AI news that matters. I hope you enjoyed everything. So yeah, just as super quick recap, we have the Zuckerberger focus going all in on AGI. Copilot Pro announced from Microsoft, a new offering in there in the middle. You have your Runway Multibrush tool. Fantastic capabilities. Samsung going all in with their AI phone, the first edge AI, kind of major device, and then 11 Labs finally reaching unicorn status. All right, that is our AI news that matters for Monday. It's our new Monday segment. We're going to do it every week. So if you can only join in one day, but you still want to keep up with everything that's going on in the AI world, this is the show for you. But also, new segment that we have this year, keeping it spicy for 2024, Hot Take Tuesday. So landing tomorrow, our episode on the AI search takeover, the end of traditional SEO and web browsing. It's going to be interesting. And as someone that's been in and out of the SEO world for, 15 plus years, and someone that talks and uses generative AI every single day, I have some hot takes. So tag your friends in SEO, or, hey, even if you just want to know about what the future of web browsing is going to be like, make sure to tune in tomorrow for that Hot Take Tuesday. And make sure, if you haven't already, to go to youreverydayai.com. We're going to recap all of these big news stories and more. So that is youreverydayai.com. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for keeping up with the AI news that matters to grow your company and to grow your career. Please join us tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.